So you can see my presentation, I guess. It's okay. Let's move on. So we will skip that one. So first of all, we can see the complexity of the flows. Even despite this unprecedented crisis, we'll see the impact after. Airbus is very proud to have delivered 566 aircraft, which is roughly a third less than pre-COVID, less than last year. We were delivering for the last 2 years about 800 aircraft. Airbus is a world leader in aircraft design and deliveries since 2019. We are delivering 22 production sites. When we say we is the procurement and supply chain community, because about 80% of what is flying is procured, is not made in-house. So you can understand the strategic perspective of the supply chain being under control or not under control. When we are talking about tier ones, we are talking about more than 3,000 suppliers. The total supply chain is greater than 12,000. I don't even know the precise number because of the sub-tier cascade complexity. And this number is quite impressive because we have to manage 2.4 million parts per day across the globe. From a part costing sometimes several millions of dollars down to the little screw, which is never simple, but always technical, but small. So a great variety of commodities, avionics, airframes, engines, avionics, as I said, cabin, and many other things which are flying. So the mission of the team I coordinate across the globe is simply sort of supply chain, but really in charge of the on-time delivery and the on-quality. Quality is absolutely paramount. It's also safety. It's the way to anticipate all defects as much as we can, as earlier as possible, as precise as possible, so that we can prevent, we can contain, we can replace, we can make our flights not only pleasant, but also, of course, extremely safe. In that respect, the supplier development, the supplier resilience, the supplier assessment are absolutely key. But also on the other side, the protection of my internal customers, the plants, the final assembly lines, with a proper demand management, but also with a proactive risk management. You will see some concrete example. Let's come back on the COVID-19 impact on my business, on the aerospace business, as you know, which has been absolutely unprecedented, which is not finished. You can see on the curve, bottom right, the relative impact between 3 crises we had in the last 20 years. 9/11 was a deep crisis. It was a state of war for us in a certain part of the world. The impact was not so big, and it had big consequences financially. In the years of 2007 and 7 in the US, we faced the global financial crisis. Same story, a little impact. So look at the impact in terms of worldwide revenue passenger kilometer, which is the key metric in aerospace to measure the activity. Look at the curve, and it's not even finished because for the western part of our world, the activity has not resumed, as it is the case, fortunately, in China. So this is by far the biggest crisis we are facing in the aviation history. So you can read on the left all the impact. I will not comment. We can also say that we have not seen such an impact since the Second World War. So it's not yesterday, it's a long time ago already. And this is to show to you the importance. If we start to model the COVID impact in a more strategic way in terms of answers or response. We had to face, first of all, this crisis in China. I remember to have put in place a data room, digital data room, to collect the supplier failure, the supplier closures in China and in Asia early Feb. It propagated quickly in Europe and then the US, Canada, as you know, and largely after the rest of the world. And we had to bring an immediate response by adapting very quickly our supply base, by facing multiple plant closures, by facing a massive blockage. You will see after the kind of answers. The third step was the adaptation, progressive adaptation on our demand, progressive adaptation in the way to re-ensure business continuity, just to survive, just to feed the plants, because our plants have never been stopped, except some of them because they had an excess of stock, and or they were facing very temporarily some COVID impact with infection and so on, but it was not the main problem. But we faced as well in this phase some strikes, mainly from the supply, about one per day in October, November, until even December. I'll let you imagine the number on the globe it can, mainly from Europe, it can represent. And now we are in the phase of landscape adaptation because we are in the recovery phase where M&A and the new normal is now in place. So let's see more concretely the different phases. So first, this big drop was leading to about 100 plant closure, but some of them absolutely needed to be reopened within the next two weeks. You can imagine that if you were not able to collect those data real time from all over the world, it means you had a machine to provide shortages. And some CEOs of those companies were also in a complete distress, not knowing how to face the pandemic. The second impact was a sudden shortage of air freight. In our industry, the parts are very big, very expensive. Air freight is our business. We fly many of them to be on time, but also because it's more practical due to the size and the complexity. And here, overseas freight was jeopardized, let's say, like in a state of war, taken as a top priority by the different states and governments, so we were not necessarily on the first row. The second wave was to help our supplier to bring masks, but I will tell you a nice story in Belgium for the cone, the rear part of the fuselage, which is, as its name indicates, a cone. The people were not able to work, you need two guys inside to work at the same time. It was not possible because they were touching themselves, so we had to build new sanitary equipment, a scaphandre, pressurized with oxygen. I'm not joking. We were not on Earth, on the moon. We were on Earth, and not in a swimming pool, but almost. And this is the kind of stuff we had to enable, find solutions for our suppliers to deliver. Purchase order rapid adaptation. We had 240,000 purchase orders to adapt in a crash mode in less than 6 weeks because the cash out was at stake. In that case, you will see some solution right after we have been using, especially around RPAs. Then in the third phase, we had to mitigate the impact and start the recovery. And the first point was to understand real time the quality impact, because you know that in the aerospace industry, the regulatory barrier, the requirements are extremely complex, extremely high, and the quality is obviously paramount. So for that, we had the necessity to factualize real time any potential changes in that respect, which may have altered our deliveries. Lately, the transfer of activities resulting from cash containment has pushed us to control a massive increase, times 5 of transfer of work across the globe, because suppliers started to adapt their footprint to preserve their health on the balance sheet standpoint. And last but not least, now we are in a phase, as I said, of strike, of inventory improvement, but also of sometimes qualifying second source in emergency, sometimes remotely, most of the time digitally, which is completely new in our business because we have no choice. So we are improving thanks to the crisis somewhere. So the summary of the main answers we had to bring as a key mitigation. Point number one is a holistic 360 risk analysis and mitigation with multi-source dynamic status, looking forward, taking into account weak signals in a holistic computation. We'll show an example after. A very quick and pertinent reaction by using data-driven weekly governance, cooperative data-driven weekly governance. Speed is the second, so first is holistic, second is speed. Third is collateral. Collateral is the interdependencies of multi-factor crisis. Obviously, digital and collective intelligence helped us to understand earlier what to look at by sometimes putting more emphasis on even a supplier we were not knowing because the shortage cascade was impacting. The supplier cash preservation, sometimes maintaining some demand even though we had some requests even though we had no demand. And this is a very important topic, is the decoupling of the multiplicity of the crisis, starting from the sanitary, going to financial, most of the time social, and then quality crisis. So it is the case in some suppliers. Digital solution help us. So let's look at the solution we have been adopting. First one is to gather real-time data from different sources in a different format. This one has been to anticipate operational issues, to get organized sooner, closing plant, restarting plant, understanding the projected buffer, understanding the next shipment status, including quality attributes, proposing to plant micro MPS master production schedule adjustment. This has been done with a brand new technology of Palantir, US-based, that we have been adopting for the top suppliers, not so many, and monitoring real-time, upstream, 2 weeks before shipment, the collateral effect between quality, delivery, and many other aspects which are a bit confidential, but in a complete reconciliated real-time format, giving big possibility to my team to react and make the right solution. Multi-user interface, easy to customize, and very, very important, upstream understanding for downstream success. The second objective was to work hard on the anticipation of the risk. We were in a silo organization before having those very simple data-driven digital 360 risk management. So we have done that with Google. It's a Google dashboard, simply speaking, marrying multi-factors, so the financial assessment with the industrial assessment in a very simple matrix with coefficient associated with the risk. The risk were a superposition of different factors, social, financial, quality, but also environmental, past issues of deliveries, etc., etc. The beauty is the 6 weeks rolling, forward-looking, collaborative intelligence. So I have 800 guys monitoring these 2.5 million deliveries a day, and those guys are not so many, in fact, but they can process very, very quickly many data and just do what is needed and choose their battle. So this is very important to choose your battle in case of in this kind of war. What I like in this experience, we learned a lot because it's also a bottom-up initiative. Many guys were customizing their working environment to their very specific cases by looking ahead and not looking at the door mirror. Next, probably more technical, even though the Palantir solutions were extremely complex at the beginning, but very simple at the end. We have been using, so in front of this massive flow of information and changes, you know, the PO, the purchase order that we have to recollaborate, resend because our planning have been cut by half. The speed is essential, otherwise you are pulling things you don't need. You are creating an excess of inventory in your supplier, therefore you push them to die earlier. We have been doing something which is now in serial mode in all my teams, is multiple RPAs which have been plugged on SAP exception messages to process automatically, sometimes with a multi-factor approach, offering, to the ordering officer what kind of smart answer we should bring to the supplier, because no one had exactly the same problem at exactly the same time. Because you remember the COVID was not with the same intensity at the same place at the same time. It started from the east, it went to the west, as you know. So we have been collaborating 250,000 POs in days. Usually it takes months with this UiPath technology from the US. But probably more interesting as well, because this is now in serial condition, we have done also a supplier monitoring platform with ClickSense, which is not so complicated, but extremely important to reconcile everything per supplier officer, looking at quality, delivery, audit, supplier request, action plan, so very important, so interactive, single list of action, collaborative with the supplier. This is unique, this is completely new in our industry, as far as I know, and coming from automotive, I know that it's existing in automotive, but I think we have been probably beyond in that respect. So I've been very quick on a selection of not so complicated ideas, but quite important. What we have in the pipe, digitally speaking, is also to perform virtual Gemba walk. So now we have an application pushing specific question to guys doing on our behalf some walk, but smart walk, not a walk in the park, by having a snapshot, data gathering, and then an automatic report being published. This is almost in the way to be released. An end-to-end digital diagnosis of the supplier performance, health, and future, let's say, strategic fit. So this is a bit complex and not mature. Of course, the digital twin is in the progress and is about to be starting in our industry with the 3D experience. And from Dassault, the digital process capability proofing. Something which is humble but very interesting is to work on the demand forecast, looking more at the past issues, even peculiar ones, even spot ones, with a machine learning multifactorial approach. Very interesting on the forecast and demand forecast. RPAs are in the process to spread over the whole teams for different non-added value tasks, therefore repetitive with no value, and a proactive control of forthcoming M&A. I would not like you to believe that, sorry, can you come back? Yeah. I would not believe you, that everything is done digitally and the human being has no more place. Absolutely not. I think even more than before. And the fruitful cooperation with our supplier base is always based on a listening attitude, on respect and trust. Sometimes digital application may enable that, sometimes not. We need to stay vigilant. And if we shake the hands, don't forget the hydroalcoholic gel, because it's not too bad today. Thank you for your attention. I will be happy to take some few questions if Richard is okay for that.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Yeah, we do have time for a couple, so I'll just put these to you. Carlos was the first person to put a question in. It says, how did you define which suppliers and number of them to deploy a supply management process to?
That's a very good question. If I may, I would reformulate, how do we choose our battle? Where to focus? On the 360-degree risk management, you remember I have explained the holistic approach. We have a pre-filtering capability on a much larger scope, which, to be frank, we were looking at something like 10,000 suppliers with something like 27 different criteria. And looking at the web, looking at our own data, looking at many things, and some of them, this is confidential way, because we are very, in my view, innovative in that respect. We have a pre-filtering of 400 people, 400 suppliers, and here we gave these 400 calculated. It's a polynomial law we are being running with the coefficients which are proportional to the importance of the factor we wanted to consider. So it's pretty complex, the algorithm, but at the end it's human, it's people, it's human competence. So the 400 we were fishing from the computer, from the algorithm, were put in the hands of the supplier quality manager, who knows very well, they know the supplier base, and they say, you are kidding, not this one is very good. Sometimes the calculation was abnormal, but sometimes it brought to the attention some hidden risk, what we call the interdependencies from the cascade. And we were very fortunate because we have discovered, you are going to laugh, even supplier we were not even knowing. We did not know the name of the supplier because it was a tier 5 or a tier in the upstream cascade. So we were instrumental to choose our battle and to steer the priorities. And the second, it's an iterative convergence on the algorithm. It's not a one shot and that's it. And week after week, with these 6 weeks rolling forward, we were able to refine the model and to refine the focus of the human being, I would say, of the people, having new set of info in hands. And honestly, the last part was done on a very simple Google dashboard, multi-factor, something you can have costing no, you can do that with any tool. It's very simple. But it worked, colleagues. It worked. It worked. We were amazed by the capacity to anticipate. I can tell you, no way to come back to what we did before. Not data-driven, based on the experience of the people only, based on declaration from the supplier, but they always declare their problem after the war and not before. You know that. So very interesting.
Brilliant. Well,
second question, and it's not finished.